aren't driving or walking or doing anything that requires your undivided attention, what I want you to do is I actually want you to close your eyes with us. And we're going to take a couple deep breaths. It's going to pay off. Just trust us. All right. So go ahead and close your eyes. And I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose and release it out through your mouth. Take another deep breath in through your nose. Hold it out through your mouth. And then this last one, I want you to tense up your shoulders with that deep breath. Go ahead and bring them all the way up and release it out. And that tension, let it go. Feels so good. Feels so good. So while you're there in that space, I want you to keep your eyes closed. Okay. And I want to say this to you right now. When I say the word divine pleasure, the phrase or the words divine pleasure, what comes to mind in relation to how you see yourself operating? All right. Divine pleasure. Just sit with that for a little bit. Divine pleasure. What do you feel? What are you experiencing? What is it that your mind goes? What picture? What is it that's there when I say divine pleasure? How do you see yourself operating? And you can take the time that you need. Take the time that you need. But what you're feeling, what you are experiencing, what I want you to do is you can go ahead and open your eyes up slowly. And I want you to take a moment to go ahead and write that down, whether it's in your phone, whether you need to grab a pen or paper real quick. Just take that and write that down because we will be coming back to that later. What's good, Elevation Nation, and welcome to the Elevated Podcast, where it is our inner tugging and abundance is our reality. We are in the pod series, The Pleasure is All Mind. And tonight we're going to be talking about divine pleasure, in case you didn't figure that thing out. So I'm your host, Christian, joined with the love of my life, my best friend, Lyneesha. How you doing, beautiful?
I'm great.
Amazing. Awesome. And so since she's great and you're great and I'm awesome, we need to go ahead and move forward. So if you're ready, Elevation Nation, let's go. All right. So I said we're going to come back to that. So when I said the words divine pleasure, what came to mind? All right. In relation to how you are operating. So if you feel comfortable with that, we are live. So I can definitely read what those comments are. As you're putting them there. But if you feel comfortable with that, go ahead and put in the comment section what hit your mind. If you're watching the replay, still put it in there because we will be back to go ahead and comment on what it is that you're putting in that area. So divine pleasure. So I want to know, that anybody think about, operating from a deep place of fulfillment and joy. Or, thinking about their work or their life or their personal life or their relationships being aligned with like your highest good, right? God's life, source, beauty. Was that on anybody's heart and mind? Did anybody think about just like a spiritual flow or, just being able to just flow in peace and joy and happiness and feeling inspired by the divine, by life, by beauty, by God, by source. All right. If that was somebody there, just go ahead and say that was me, right? What about thinking about that being spiritually aligned and where your beliefs, your thoughts, your actions, your reflections, all of that is being aligned with the divine purpose for you feeling as though like I need to go ahead and bring forth the things that give me pleasure, right? Within this area of this journey. What hit your mind? What picture was it? A color? Whatever it may be. We want you to sit from that place and just process that as well. And beautiful, I'm coming to you really soon, just to see what you think about when it comes to divine pleasure, or if there was an image or a color or a phrase or anything that hit your heart and your mind.
Oh, you're coming to me now.
Yeah, that was the wind up.
You said real soon.
No. I mean, that was the wind up. You see what I was doing? I was kind of like, giving you.
Sorry, I was still trying to.
No, you do you. That's why I was
doing
trying to, operate in the team, letting you know I'm back. Anyway. So divine pleasure.
For me, it's going to that place, like using your imagination, to go to that place that, the divine has shown you that you might not necessarily see just yet physically or tangibly, in your experience right now in life, but you go to that place through your imagination. And you find the places of joy, you find the places of peace, the things that, light your face up. Like you ever, if you practice meditation, like be in meditation and like a smile just comes on your face without you being intentional about it. That's what I find, that I would consider divine pleasure. And then to begin, when you do begin to see those things actually becoming tangible and actually starting to come to life, like, it's divine because you've already been in that place within your imagination with your visualization and stuff.
That's good. I love it. You guys love it too? I know you do, right? Yes, I love what you're saying from the area of meditation. And this really tag teams with what we were talking about even last week, as we kicked off the intro to the pleasure is all mine, meaning that it's an inside job as well. So that divine pleasure, sitting with that place with you and God within, and just experiencing that. For me, it's that divine inspired action that I talked about a lot. It's that area of just being able to operate in that love, that the area of listening, learning, liberating, and just living life to the fullest. Like just to know that source and I, like that spirit and I, we cooperate. That is a place for me that is so much. It's joy. Right?
Yeah.
It's that pleasure from there. So, sometimes it is visualizing things. Sometimes it is, we learn that it's not about manifesting better, right? It's about, paying attention to what it is that you're manifesting and aligning yourself towards the vibration, the frequency of, of what that is, and being that mental equivalence, that match for that, right?
Yeah.
And so that's that part. But we want you to sit for that place to understand it, because that is such a powerful place to be. Yes, we talk about the area of relationships. We talk about the area of our careers. We're talking about all those things that hit our minds as relates to abundance and all those things. But when we are feeling divinely inspired, when we are at that place of divine pleasure, it's just a wonderful place to be. So what gives you divine pleasure? That's the area for you to sit with that, to even know what that is. And I'll be honest, I knew what made me happy, or I knew what things I like to do, or different things like that. But I don't know if I had sat with that area of the divine pleasure. I know pleasure when it comes to you and I think that's divine too. But I
like how your voice changed.
But it's cool. But they got to stay on really for next week, next episode, because we're gonna talk about sexual things, and you know how I feel about that. And even the after party, they should always jump on the after party, because the stuff that I don't say here,
that you can't say here,
yeah, I say it there. So anyway, so talk to us. Hey, hello, friends. Kristen says hello. So
hello.
I say hello to you as well. All right, Kristen, we gotta do something special for you. You're amazing. Okay. You are absolutely amazing. All right. So what is divine pleasure to you? All right. What is that? And not just the area of the definition, but what does that feel like? And then is there anything that you feel like is no longer serving you that's related to divine pleasure? Or I don't even want to call it an area of a hindrance, maybe a blocker sometimes can kind of get in the way of you experiencing that level. A lot of times it's mindset though, right? So I'm not just talking about the enemy or anything like that. I'm talking about the area of like, what is it that you realize, okay, for me, let's go start with that. So I love to operate from a place of love, feeling divinely inspired. And what can kind of be in the way? What can be a blocker for that? Being able to identify that and not just staying there, but just identifying it so that we know what we can release, or maybe there's a form of a definition or a meaning that is around that thing that keeps us from really experiencing that fullness of joy, pleasure, love, higher vibrational things. Are we able to identify what that is or what that belief is around it, so that we're able to move forward? Beautiful. Have you ever experienced, well, first off, knowing the area of divine pleasure, but have you found yourself in a place where you realize that there were some blockage around you experiencing divine pleasure? If so, what did you do to remove those?
Well, I think it's like some of the limiting beliefs that we have, that we may grow up with, that we may have learned, that, that can hinder you. Just like, like as a child, right? Like you really believe like you could do anything. You could fly, you could turn into a caterpillar if you want, I don't know. But you had your imagination is wild at that age, right? And I don't mean wild in a bad way. I just mean like your mind can take you to all these places as a child, right? And you can believe all these different things, and your faith is so big. And I think even when you go into like scriptures and it talks about like faith, like as a childlike faith, meaning like you don't have all the blockers, you don't have all the experiences and all the things that you went through in life that begin to put a damper on some of those things. So as you go through life, you start picking up these belief systems that, whether you're taught them through religion, or you're taught them through experience, or you're taught them through your family, but you pick these belief systems up. And I think that is what can become a blocker when you're truly just trying to experience the divine at its fullest. Because, well, is that really how the divine operates? Or am I doing it right? Am I opening up something that I shouldn't be opening up? So all these different things I think that we pick up. And so that happened for me, just trying to sift through all the things that I've learned, that I started to believe, that I thought I believed, that I thought was real, that I thought was right. And really just like sitting with that and asking God, like, show me you. Like that's what I want to see. That's what I want to experience. And allowing those things, those truths to really come through. Yeah. And determine, okay, this was something that's learned. Not that it's bad, but this is kind of in the way of me fully experiencing the divine the way I desire to. Yeah. And so I think it just takes time, and it takes courage to be honest with yourself as well, to look at those things and ask yourself, what do I believe and why? Yeah.
I love it. I'm thinking about our own journey, my journey as well. And I know so many other emerging leaders, powerful, look, great success, business is booming, finances is flowing. That's not a problem. It's great, but there's sometimes you can feel like you're doing this. It's not necessarily a divine a pleasure, but it's a people pleasure, or it's a status situation. Like I reached this level of success, I reached this level of this, and now I have to maintain it, or I keep doing this. And then you can find yourself in a place where on the outside, it looks like everything is amazing and great. But really on the inside, it's feel like there's a miss of alignment, or something that's not really, connecting. You could be doing something and getting called and traveling and doing all different types of things, but then you feel empty in your work. And so because of those things, I remember even for my own, you guys have been doing life with us for a season, would know that this past summer of the time of this recording, I went on my own personal journey of the divine, of God, beyond religion. And that's when I just realized I had been teaching, preaching, coaching, all the ings. Right. And at that time, I realized that some things were not working for me. I believe lives were being changed, and and people were benefiting. At least that's the testimonials and things that we would get. You know, all the stuff was working on that side. But for me, it was something that just wasn't hitting for me. And so I can remember going through that area again with area of coaching and therapy and everything that we went through, and even detaching. Even for a season, we were pastoring in our pastor's stead during that time, and tremendous blessings that were going on. But inwardly, I'm like, something ain't clicking. Like,
right.
It's a miss. I would see people operate in greatness, and I'm like, it's something they're not saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize now in the journey, some things you can't really, I say it's not like you can't teach it. Like, it's caught, you got to experience it with someone. And I'm so grateful for the unfolding that we have and the therapy that we get, that we realize that it's not just about reading this book. I love reading, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, we got to experience this thing. And so I had experienced the divine, experience God for myself, and realized, this divine pleasure, when we really get in that place, sit in that place, first of all, we can go there at any given time, because God is within us. Source life is within us at all times. And so it's not necessarily an external validation, which I was huge with, right? It's and I still have things that I'm working through within there, but it's being able to realize that, hold on, because the kingdom of God, God's domain is within me, that pleasure that I experience by meditation, by sitting, like, I get it first. And what you get is just an overflow of what already is from the area of my isness. So if I'm loving self, right, and I'm loving me and God within there, and then I get to express that to you, mm-hmm. right? Because I know how to love myself. I love myself. And, and then that comes into our businesses, that comes into ministry, that comes into any area that we're going and operating from there. Same thing with, what else was I talking about? The area of listening to God, or listening to your clients, and learning from self, learning, understanding, unfolding from God, and not a place of just not knowing, because when you really realize it with God within, it's not a knowledge that we don't necessarily know. It's a knowledge of, I like to think of it like just remembering, right? Mm-hmm. It's that area, because God knows all. It's like when those things align, it's like, I remember this, therefore limitation talks about it, therefore I have hope, right? I have the area of hope, right? And then it's a place of liberation that comes from there. And you begin to liberate, vibrate, operate at that higher movement in place. So as we get that, liberating ourselves, and anything that works on the inside, I should be able to release that thing, and it's going to go ahead and work on it on the outside as well. And sometimes if we're doing that, I ain't gonna say backwards, but in the reverse, and not in that order, where we're trying to get the validation or the pleasure specifically externally, then we're finding ourselves tired and spent and catching up with this trend and doing this and all that. It's so easy to get caught up in what we call the 3D realm, that we come to a place of realizing, now that I'm tired and I've done all that and I'm by myself, now what am I left with? Where's that divine pleasure? Versus the people pleasure. What do you hear?
I think sometimes we're trying too hard.
Okay.
Yeah, like you said, you go through all these things and you expel all this energy, mm-hmm. and then you don't know where to go from there. When I think sometimes it's just as simple as like just allowing your guard down, like letting your guard down. Mm-hmm. Like we naturally, I think last week we talked about like the ego and how its main job is to protect us. And we allow that to often come up. Like, I'm gonna protect you. I'm trying to help you out, because we ain't never been down this road before. Mm-hmm. Whoa, where are we going? Yeah. What's happening here? Like, you don't know nothing about this. Like, let's pause on this, versus, allowing slowly, because, you don't have to force anything. We're not saying force anything, but just allowing yourself, giving yourself that permission to say, I'm just going to sit here with this for a moment. I'm going to allow God to fully engulf me and engage me in this moment, and let go. Just like you started us even tonight with like the breathing and the just giving yourself that moment to let go of everything else that you picked up along the way, that you brought into the room or that you brought into the moment, and just allowing yourself to be.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Be still and know. That's that area. So where are we at within that? Like, are we experiencing that divine pleasure that we're talking about? Are we at a place it's the coach in me that's coming from that area, right? Not just telling us that, but realizing, hey, I'm recognizing that this is where I am to live, not just visit. But this is where I'll go there. I'm all the way out here now, right? There's things that I think we've convinced ourselves that it's not for us. So we don't give ourselves a chance to sit with the divine and really realize this is something that I could really enjoy. Yeah. For whatever reason it may be, right? If you're here and you're saying, look, I really desire marriage. I really desire these things, but you're like, I'm too old, or I've been married 3 or 4 times, or whatever the case may be, right? You hold yourself back. Limit those things. I've even learned that we can send mixed signals. And it's like the universe is like, well, what do I do with that? We talk about blessings and cursings coming out of the same mouth. I want it. No, I don't. What do you want? What do you really desire and want? And sitting with that. Another thing is, I was going through vision and mission statements with an organization that I work with today. And I was telling them that, I said, if it's hard to sit with a visionary and talk about vision statements because it continues to change. As you know, if you've been following the Elevated podcast or anything that we've done, I've had a million, but to be solidified in your belief and fully confident in there, that would let me know that I'm not settled with what this business is. I'm not settled with that. And that's the external stuff. What about how many times we've shifted who we are, or how we're desiring to represent ourselves, or how we're desiring to operate, right? Because it's like, I'm not fully solidified on this is who I am and how I want to express myself with the divine. Or we put God in this big old box or sky way out there, as opposed to having internal realizing, hold on, like we say before, when I move, you move, just like that. The oneness of God, that living, breathing, cooperating together, and this is how we desire to move. I even had to change my talking and say, what do we think about this? Like, how do we really feel like about this? Is this something that I'm choosing because of fear in the past, or is this something that I truly, divinely desire or love or get pleasure with? And it's okay, whatever that is. Yeah. Yes. What are you going to say?
Nothing.
You sure? Okay. Cool. All right. I got a couple of things open on here. Let me check in with you all. What's going on in the comments? Anything there? I can, there we go. All right. So that divine pleasure. What do we need to release? Lyneesha talked about the area of us releasing limiting beliefs. So how do you release a limiting belief? We can talk about that a little deeper in the area of the after party. But look at this. Sit with that and I'll just say, releasing it is more simple than it may feel. And I know that sometimes we have a belief in something and you believe that thing for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years or even more. And now you're like, wait a minute, you want me to pick up something? But what is the replacement for that, right? What is a replacement for the belief? So if you're believing that you felt like you weren't worthy, right? Because a lot of times it just boils down to a lot of situations of how we feel that we are worthy of something or not worthy of something, or we want to feel something, or we want to let go of something. As we're processing those things, it's like, what do I need to replace? What is the belief that was limiting? I believe that I wasn't worthy at XYZ. I wasn't worthy at having a successful this, or a thriving relationship, or this. All right, well, open up your mind. What's the replacement to go ahead and put that out there? Is there some some affirmation statements? What is as you visualize, you've seen some things. Is it going back to the area of childlike faith, like Lyneesha was talking about, and just saying like, no, this is what I really want. This is what I desire. This is what I know is for me, because nothing else because that's what I'm choosing at this time. And that's okay. If it is life affirming and it's for us to move forward, it's going to continue to have you continue to grow and be the best being that you can be, and help others. And you want to take time, then study your craft, learn, unfold, develop, and be there. But I'm learning now it's the area of the consistency. So what would it look like to be in community with like-minded individuals, with people who are vibrating at that level of continuing to go higher, removing ourselves from the complaining and not aligning ourselves with the mental equivalency to move forward in that level. What have you been dreaming about? What did you dream about in past years, right? And now you're like, I just gave up on it. For some of you, I believe it's something there and it's always been there, but it's been tucked. You've dealt with disappointment. You've dealt with irritation. Well, we're learning. We choose to be irritated about these things. And now we're at a place in time, and you've been questioning some things, saying, man, why isn't this happening or whatever? Like, look within, connect with the divine desire of God and just say, look, I'm going to fully commit to being who I am and flowing. Look, try this for a week straight. Give it 7 days and just say, as I feel divinely inspired, as I feel pleasure in this area, as I am enthused, excited about this, I'm going to operate and I'm going to see where this leads me. Mm-hmm. That's what I want to see. Like, are you going to be at a place to realize that? Are you going to be at a place just to commit to that? Who is going to be committed to that? Put that out there. Be in a place to say, look, I am committing to be on one accord, to align with the oneness of God within me. And I'm going back to the things that I've been thinking about, that I've been dreaming about. I'm going back to those things, or maybe it's some things that I let go. It's a newer season that you feel like, and there's some things in my heart, your heart and mine, and you're saying, look, this is the time. Like, I know it's now. I'm not going to wait any longer. This is the time for me to really align myself, because this is something that, and I'm ready to throw you the ball so you can prepare you for this, right? Of realizing that everything we are waiting on is already here. Oh, come on, somebody. Look, whether you're watching this live, whether you are seeing a replay, are you on YouTube, Facebook, IG, it doesn't matter where you're at. I want you to sit with that. Think about that place of divine pleasure when you close your eyes, when you were reflecting, like when you imagine it, when you feel like that's real. It's here. Mm-hmm. All right. You think about it like whatever your I say radio station. I feel like that's even like starting to age us now. And I say a radio station, right? No? Kind of.
Some people listen to the radio.
Listen to the radio?
Yeah.
Oh. But whatever your favorite station or XM radio. Is that serious? Serious? We don't use it anymore. Sirius XM? Is that what it is? Mm-hmm. Come on, she just looked at me that way. I felt a little judgment there. Anyway, but whatever that is on a station that is playing right now. But we can't hear it at this very moment because we're not on that frequency on that station. Mm-hmm. That there's a place right now or right what it is that you're desiring, that the divine pleasure to fully operate there. It's there, it's for you, in its area, releasing the limiting beliefs, releasing those things that no longer serve us, and then making the decision to tune in to the station for where we see that we are to be. Beautiful. Yeah. Talk to us.
Yeah, simply put, it's sorry. It's basically it's saying that God already has done what he's going to do. Like, I think we stop or even allow we allow the excuse that God hasn't made a way yet, or God hasn't given me what I need yet, or I'm still waiting on something to move forward, to see dreams and visions and things like that come into fruition. Like I'm waiting on God. I'm waiting on God. Like we hear that all the time, but it's like God, it's already done. Like that part is done. It's already here. We were created in the image and likeness of the divine. Like we were created in God's image and likeness, meaning we already have it all built within us. So what are we really waiting on? And I think that's the part that we have to sit with, is that we have to realize that it's already here. I just, like you said, have to tune into the right frequency, tune into the right channel, like get in alignment with where God is taking me, what is being done around me and within me, and allowing all of that to cooperate together. Because it already is, like everything is already in place. Everything is already, accessible. Okay. But sometimes I think we just don't allow ourselves to see it, or don't know to even receive it. Because going back to the limiting beliefs that I have to do things this way and this has to happen first. And I am one that has gone through that and still has to work through those thought process sometimes. Like, but wait, I didn't do this yet. So I can't get to that if I don't do this. And then I got to qualify for that. And then it goes back to my value. Am I worth it? Am I worthy to even desire these things that I'm seeing? And all of these thoughts and ideas start to fog our vision. And it starts to put us in a position where we doubt. Wow. And so then I'm experiencing, I'll say, what I'm putting out, and that's the doubt. If I have doubt, then that's what I'm going to see in my experience, is those things that I think, but only the things I think I'm worthy of, or only the things I believe that I've qualified for. When it's already all done.
Yeah. I love that. You said, I am experiencing what I put out. Excuse me, real quick. Hi there. You said I'm experiencing what I put out, the doubt. And I don't know if you try to drop that bar like that, but I mean,
I did not.
But you just let the flow go, and we know what we know, because that's where we go. And I'm not going to rap no more.
Oh my God.
Bars.
Wow. I
got a couple rapping friends that will be very disappointed in that.
Wow.
But it's okay. I got to stay in my lane. And that was not divinely inspired. Okay. But I do like the fact that you're saying, again, so if I'm putting out doubt, or if I'm putting out fear, that comes from within.
Yes.
Which is tied to the limiting beliefs. Which is tied to a feeling, which is tied to a thought, which is tied to some things that were rehearsed. And then we experience those things. It's kind of like the people that's like, this is always going bad, or when I go in here, or this person or whatever, and we start to perceive, we start to project those inward feelings that we have on someone else. And that may not be the true situation. Or I even learned they ain't even on that place. You creating things in your own mind, and somebody ain't even nowhere near.
Yeah.
You see the way that they. No, I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm sorry, I didn't see that, because it's not there. So anyway, those things there. So if I'm putting out faith, and I'm putting out love and joy and abundance, forgiveness, giving, circulation, sharing, caring, all those things, then I'm experiencing that from the inside as a divine pleasure. I'm releasing that, then that's what's circulating. So I guess one could say, and I've said this before, if we don't like what we're seeing in the earth realm, then we can just go back. We get the opportunity to go back and choose something different. Imagine that. Imagine that. We have the power to choose.
Yeah.
something different.
Mm-hmm.
Do we realize and recognize our divine power to live in pleasure?
Yeah. It's just like you could be in a situation that naturally doesn't feel good, right? It naturally doesn't feel good. You might be disappointed the way maybe you planned something
Mm-hmm.
and it's now playing out, but it's not playing out the way you envisioned it. So you're now feeling disappointed, or you're feeling like you failed, or you're feeling like all these feelings start to rise up. In that moment, you can actually choose something different. Like you can choose to look at the situation differently. You can choose to focus on the things that are going amazingly well. Yeah. You can focus on, that you did pull this thing together, even though you might not see every bit. And that's why in our journey, we've learned that we can't be so attached to the result, attached to exactly how it's going to play out, because we don't know that. We don't know that part. We don't have control over that part. What we have control over is following those divine encounters and those divine moments when we know that God is leading us in a certain direction. So I'm doing that, and although it's not playing out exactly how I thought in my mind or I had hoped, it's here. And I was divinely brought into this moment. Yeah. Like choosing in that moment that you might be feeling like, oh, it's not so great. You can choose in that moment to make it great solely by changing your mind.
You said something make me think about the area like trusting the divine. Right. So I'm not going to do this that much longer. Bye-bye. Catch us on YouTube. All right. So you had said that's what me and my train of thought, trying to multitask and do all that stuff. That's what happens when you're live and you're trying to do too much. So what was I saying?
You said I said something.
Oh, it made me think about the area of trusting God. So, because you said you can visualize something or you come from there, but it doesn't necessarily take place or happen the same way that you imagine it. So one would say, I'm disappointed, or that's not it, or we missed the opportunity. But do we trust source, life, beauty, presence, the divine to come from a place of that, even if what does Doc say? She's this or better. Right. So if it's not this, then I have to trust the universe, I have to trust God, I have to trust life that it's something better, and not get disappointed because this is what I had my mind on when I was visualizing. I felt like this was being shown, and it was going to come this particular way. And it made me think about our son, one of our sons. We have 3 amazing sons, but one of them that actually has a lawn care business. He said I want this riding mower. And I'm like, no, you're not getting a riding mower. Where are you going to put that at? It ain't going to be in our house, right? You need to get your own shed or whatever. But he was insistent and persistent, pertaining to it. He didn't take no. He just kept it going. And so long and behold, he went on Marketplace and ended up getting a riding mower. And we went there, and family member went, checked him out. He got it home, so forth and so on. And just long story short, it didn't turn out for him, right? He got it, manifested. It didn't turn out for him to be there. As a matter of fact, it turned out that this particular this riding mower, it was older, and he wasn't able to do anything with it. It was pretty much trash. And we watched our son, and I remember saying to him, hey, how you process this, like, be careful about this, because you manifested this. It's dope, it's great, it's awesome. However, you don't know what could come around the corner pertaining to this. So don't just be disappointed. Look at this as a waste. It's an area. So you trust that. And long and behold, without him having to do anything, somebody contacted us, a family member who, same color, a newer machine, And that turned out in his favor. And now the boy's riding around here, cutting lawns and picking up more contracts and doing different things. But if he was just sold on what he got and what he wanted, I seen this one. I wanted this particular one. I got this one. And I'm going to spend all this money to try to get this trash fixed.
This one work.
When there was something better on the other side.
Yeah.
And am I willing to release what no longer serves me? See, this is when the preacher kind of want to come out. I feel it kind of wanting to come. Releasing what no longer serves me, right? Because there's something better. Even if I didn't know it was there, it was already in the works for it. And so if we just stick, I'm talking to myself. I ain't talking to anybody else. I'm going to talk. You ain't got to talk to me. I'm going to talk to myself right now, right? Talk to myself right now and just say that if as we remain consistent and persistent of doing the things that we are divinely inspired to do and be, from that trust the divine leading. If it's good, it's pleasing. And we say to our son, why wouldn't God want to? You're helping provide a service for people. You're helping to love. You're helping to love. You're helping to create and consult. If that's the place where we have to believe that the hindrance isn't anything outside of ourselves, and that sometimes is not the easiest thing to pill to swallow, so to speak.
Yeah, that's good. You got some comments. Rich said, don't look at it like it's right or wrong. Change the perspective and change your mind. And he also said, oh, this or better. I love that.
Rich, I appreciate it. That's dope. That's awesome. I love it. I love it, Rich.
And on Facebook, John Walker says, surrendering to God and letting ourselves be led by the Holy Spirit. Trusting God is when you were talking about faith has fully got that God has fully got any and all problems that may come up in our lives. Yeah, that's the part, right? That we're not, when we accept our oneness with God, then we realize that there's nothing that we're incapable of, because it's not just us in our own right trying to do something. We're not separate from God. And so that part, in trusting and believing that we are one with God and we're moving together, makes the world of a difference. Because even when things appear that they're not going right, or they are though, right? That moment is still serving us, even if, like the example you just gave with our son, that older model served in the fact that it taught our son that this isn't for you. There is something better, right? Sometimes when we get something, when something comes into our experience, it's disappointing or it's not what we had hoped for. We think that, then I must be going in the wrong direction.
That part right there. When
it could just be saying, no, it's in the area, right? You're in the vein, like we like to say.
Yeah.
But this particular thing or situation or person is doing its job by showing you this is not it.
Wow. Wow. I think I used to say it this way. Sometimes you can do something for a long time, and it's so many signs saying, hey,
cut this out.
Like, let it go. And we can try to force it because we can manifest and we can pray and we can do this and we can do that. But if we're holding on to it so long, then we are not ready for, or even at that place to even believe that there's something better.
Yeah.
Like sometimes we can't fathom that.
Well, for some of us, and I think this is a part of what has happened in religion, that we've been taught that you got to endure.
Okay.
Right. So this thing has been awful, but I've been taught.
# give it up. No,
I got to stick in there. Right. This is a test.
Yeah.
Is it really though? Maybe like that thing is trying to tell you move on. That relationship or that job or that whatever, like that assignment
what's next
is over.
Wow.
but we're still hanging in there because we have this limiting belief that this is the thing. And I got to stick in here no matter how loudly it is screaming for me to let go.
Wow. 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 That can be even beliefs too.
Yeah.
Right? Not just so that's that part. I mean, I know that even personally, I've been in places where I'm like, no, but this has to be this has to be right. Like this has to be that, because if not this, then what?
And that's the scary part for a lot of us.
The unknown.
The unknown. I don't know. I at least know this awfulness over here.
Right.
I don't know what'll happen if I leave this and go over there.
Ooh. Go ahead.
But if we are going back to the beginning of this conversation, spending that time in divine pleasure.
Yeah.
In meditation, in our imagination, in visualization, whatever you want to call it, is, spending that time is going to help us to identify more easily and much faster when it's time to let go, when it's time to move on, when it's time to try something different. Like those things will become easier when we do spend time. We don't get a word 5 years ago, and that's the word we still eating off of and living off of today without really spending time to say, to continuously get those downloads, continuously get that inspiration to know how to move today. Yeah.
I love it. This is so good. We're getting ready to transition to the after party, and so if you have the link, beautiful, you can put that in there, so you guys can click that link, check that out, and there's 2 options pertaining to that circulation to go ahead and join us on a live Zoom, to go deeper, to go wider within that. Elevation Nation, you are amazing, you're awesome, you are wonderful, and as a matter of fact, as this has been blessing you, just continue to go ahead and to share that with others, so that they are encouraged by what is being said. Leave some comments pertaining to that, process it, meditate, pray, do what needs to be done within all that. So next week, again, we are talking about the sexual side of things when it comes to the area of pleasure, and like I said before, I love this subject. And what I can't or won't say on the area of our live podcast, we will jump on and talk about all those things related to sexual pleasure and all the stuff, all the ins and outs. I feel like, honestly, we don't talk about it enough, in my personal opinion. So we're going to talk about it on our episode as well as in the after party. So you do not want to miss that. All right. So again, thank you always, Elevation Nation, for joining us. We will see you soon. And if you haven't already, make sure you check out last week's episode, which would be tagged to this episode right here, when we did the intro to The Pleasure Is All Mine. Again, thank you for joining us live. You're amazing, beautiful. Anything else you got?
No.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll see you guys soon. And after party, we are logging in right now.